Hello, Internet. Welcome back to our Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead golf course scenario series. In the last episode, we set out to travel through town. We were headed towards a grocery store. We had been working towards this in a previous episode and kind of fought our way to that side of town. And when we arrived, we discovered that it was already looted. This is the third grocery store we've been to in this town, and all three have been looted. It's been very frustrating. So I feel like we kind of wasted that last episode, and that's really all that we did. So welcome back to the series. I think in this one we will spend time working on our vehicle work again. Possibly going out and looting some houses or something. I'm getting frustrated. So every time we go out to loot a specific location, like we set out previously to go to the military surplus store, then we get there and it's boarded up and we can't really get inside. So that was a frustrating experience because you hunt through town and you kill all these enemies and then you don't get any reward for it. So it seems like every time I pick a location, I just don't get anything out of it. So I'm a little frustrated with exploring. So I think we'll just do vehicle work. It's so boring though. Alright, well, that's what we're doing. And we'll talk, of course. Oh, I just scheduled something very cool. Oh, Internet, I'm simultaneously very excited and very frightened that I'm going to screw things up. So on Sunday, I think this video will go up on Saturday. But I just scheduled for Sunday a interview with someone. So I'm going to be doing my first ever interview on the channel. I'm absolutely terrified that I'm going to be bad at it and screw it up. But I also think I'm a capable person, I guess, for the most part. Very nervous. So I spent most of the day thinking about that. I had made up a list of questions and tried to prepare mentally for that. And I talked with the person to get them, to show up for the video. And yeah, I'm simultaneously very excited and very, very scared. So, oh boy, who knows? We'll see how this turns out, but I'm pretty excited. It's the first thing I've done like this. I don't do that kind of content, so I'm excited. I am excited. Okay, so we're gonna continue putting stow boards on our vehicle. So 4 and then the corner, and then I think we'll just have one central door in the rear. I don't really see a reason to make multiple doors. If we use stow boards, that's extra storage space, so that just seems like the better way to do that. So let's continue putting on these stow boards here. Yeah, so I'm excited. I was talking to that person about, just how to do that. What timing and talking to them a little bit about. Oh, see, that's the wrong stow board. I don't want that one. Off is the key. O is the key here. So yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it. I don't want to tell you who that is exactly, just in case something falls through or whatever. But yeah, it just seems scary to me. It just seems scary. So we're looking for, it's the right hand side. I can't believe how hard it's been to put our vehicle together because of this. So we're looking for a stow board on the right side, and it would be a vertical pipe because it's up and down on the vehicle. But when we did it on the left, when we did it on the right, it's a different sprite. Is that the correct sprite? And I just thought it looked different because it's on the right side. Did we do just regular stow boards? That can't be right. That wouldn't look right. It has to be right. So we're looking for right. Here's a thick one. I don't think it was the thick one though. Right T-joint? No. Those are the only rights. It's not on the front. Let's try a thick one. I don't think it is thick though. Let's pull off. Okay. So these, I wish it would say when you look at the vehicle menu what it is. Like I wish it would say right stow board, whatever. So let's remove a stow board here and install it again just to see what I select. Okay, so go back, install. And it's a stow board, and this one is on the left side, and I think it's just left vertical, isn't it? Is that not the right one? It is the right one, so it just looks different on the right hand side, I guess. So let's install the right vertical, and it's just right vertical. It just doesn't look the same at all. I don't understand. Okay, so what I'm thinking, so this little black bar, it's just about perspective, right? So if we flip the vehicle in the opposite direction, this tile would look like this. It's just that it's inverted, and it really does not line up with our door, which I absolutely hate, but I think is okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect. Don't worry about it. Anyway, yeah, I'm hesitant to say too much just in case something, you never know. Someone might. I mean, I have self-esteem issues. It's very possible that this person will just say, like, oh, I don't feel comfortable doing it or whatever. So, you try to tamp down expectations, but I'm pretty excited, so I wanted to mention it. It's like the most professional thing I've ever done. I don't do that kind of content. I'm not very professional at all. I'm a very laid-back guy who even though I spend a lot of time thinking about like YouTube conceptually and trying to be a better content creator, for the most part, I'm really not. I'm a pretty mundane content creator. I'm not doing anything particularly inventive or impressive, really. So this is the first thing that's like, something people do kind of professionally. How many podcasts do you listen to where they spend a lot of their time doing interviews? I actually hate when podcasts do interviews because it's always rear right. Yes, this should be the right thing. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. I hate when podcasts do interviews because they're so simple and straightforward, and a lot of times they don't have a targeted thing to discuss. So I like business podcasts. I listen to a lot of business podcasting stuff. And one of the things that I find all the time is that they'll name their podcast episode something like, oh, how to, I mean, I can't think of a good example, or like how to dominate social media, and you'll be like, oh, that's cool. I would like to dominate social media. Why not? And then you listen to the podcast, and it's literally just an interview with someone that has a Facebook page or something. It's like, it's not really you dominating social media. You're not really covering the topic you said you were going to cover. And it just seems very misleading, and I hate it. So I'm not a big fan of interviews in general, but yeah, thought I'd give it a go. Why not? Thought it'd be fun and different. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get a random question so we have something to talk about. We ran out of sheet metal, that's why we came over here. So let's get a random question. Click, scroll, click. How to become rich? That's not a question. This is interesting because does that mean I screwed up and I accidentally... So I took a lot of these questions from like TikTok and other places. So that means, did I accidentally grab the title of a video? Because that sounds like a title of a video, right? Someone probably... You see it all the time on YouTube. Ask me how I made $700,000 last year. Ask me how. So did I accidentally grab a title, or... Is this just a poorly worded question from someone who maybe is not a native English speaker? Really don't know. How to become rich? I mean, it's a huge question. There's a lot of. I think it depends a lot on your stage of your life. Like, I think if you're like 40 and you're married with a kid, I think your path to wealth is completely different from someone who's like 20, and single and has no overhead in their life. I think. We want rear, right? There's no angle to it. I think this is what we want. Yeah. Okay, so we should not be able to see into the vehicle from any square except our windshield. That's great. Okay, so we now have a fully enclosed vehicle. That's a fantastic... Oh, no, we don't. We have to put roofs on it. Oh, we're going to need so much more sheet metal. Okay, we're going to go harvest a bunch of sheet metal. Because each roof tile requires a sheet metal. It's time consuming to harvest parts. But hey, I mean, what else are we doing, right? And everyone likes having a nice big vehicle, so we're gonna focus on this, I think. Yeah, I think it depends a lot on your life stage. I think it's hard for people to accept that there are some things in life that permanently alter your ability to progress. So like, I'm not saying having children is bad. I'm just saying, so there's a concept. So I've been reading a lot of business books and self-help stuff, just trying to grow as a human being. And one of the things that they have mentioned in these books, I don't know what the exact terminology is, but the basic idea is that there are some consequences, like very few things in life have permanent consequences, right? So I've been very hesitant to start my business because I'm afraid of failure, and there's a lot of self-esteem stuff that's tied to that. But the reality is that there's really no catastrophic consequence. Like, what if I fail, right? Let's say I start my business and I fail completely. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Nothing. Like, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to screw up my taxes and the IRS is going to come after me. But the reality is that that's not a very big consequence, right? I would be such a small business that even if I owed them money, even a huge percentage of my income, it would just be a couple $100. It wouldn't be that much money. So like, that's not really a catastrophic failure, is it? Because it's such a minor consequence in the scheme of things. Worst case scenario, the business collapses and I have to get bankruptcy. But even that is not really a failure. I mean, it is a failure, but it's not really that big of a consequence because you can declare bankruptcy. It would be an LLC. My personal liability would be very limited. I wouldn't have to worry about getting sued for money or anything like that. I would just collapse the business. Big deal. You know, it's not because businesses do that all the time. So there are very few things in life that are permanent consequences that affect you for the rest of your life. The person that was talking about this was talking specifically about STDs. They use that as kind of a catastrophic consequence, right? You get an STD, it's something you live with for the rest of your life, depending on what it is, obviously, and can have really catastrophic consequences. Obviously, some of them are life-threatening and will kill you. So that's a permanent consequence. That's a very severe consequence. Having children, you know, I'm not saying children are bad or a burden, but they are a permanent consequence. As long as they are a child, you are going to have to support them in some capacity, even if you get married. That is something that for the foreseeable future has pretty significant consequences. So like, let's say you're 40 and you're asking, well, how do I make money? How do I grow and become a rich person? I think it's really difficult because it's not just your money at that point. Your money is a shared pool between you and your spouse, right? And then children are a constant drain on your resources. It's just a fact. Children cost a lot of money to raise a child. So, you know, I think it depends a lot on your life stage. I think what I'm realizing more and more is that there's really no path that's like instant wealth. Like everybody likes the idea of getting rich quick, but outside of like a rich relative dying and leaving you a fortune, or you hit the lottery or something, outside of that, you really don't just materialize wealth like that. Money is something you accumulate over time. And I think that it's just that rich people really know how to do that and poor people don't. So I think like, let's say I wouldn't need much money to live for the rest of my life. Like I've said this before, and people always say, oh, you just don't know. But like, I think if you gave me like $100,000, I think I could live for the rest of my life on that money, which people always say like, oh, that's way less money than you think it is. You'd never be able to do it. But I actually think it's totally doable with like smart, like just well-reasoned investment. Like, so one of the things I'm realizing is like, I have no concept of money, right? Because I'm poor. I've never had money. So for me, my family never taught me how to manage my money. But the more I read about business stuff, it's like, it seems super obvious why rich people stay rich forever, if that makes any sense. So like, I don't know, just think about, I mean, let's say you invest money and it's just like you're getting 5% compound interest, whatever. After 14 years, you double your investment, right? Like, that's just math. So I feel like if you gave me a bunch of money, I could just buy like a property flat out and not have to worry about, mortgages or anything like that. And then you parlay that into an income by, having tenants and stuff. You invest as much as you can when you're able into like safe investments, and you just sort of accumulate that interest. That's why rich people never get poor, because they understand how to just do that, and they understand the value of investing. So I don't know. I think it depends a lot on how old you are and what kind of starting point you're at, But I think the one thing anyone can do, which is what I'm trying to do more and more with my life, is that anyone can improve their own value. So like, I'm probably never going to make a ton of money. I don't expect to. Like, we talk about YouTube stuff. I'm never going to be, you know, Markiplier or PewDiePie drawing in, you know, millions of dollars every year. I don't expect that. All I've ever expected is to make just a little bit more than what I make now. And I think that's a totally healthy way to approach that. And then the other thing is that by doing YouTube, as silly as it seems, people think like, sorry, someone is mowing nearby. It doesn't sound that loud, but we'll see how that shakes out. But like, I don't expect to make a ton of money, but by doing YouTube, it seems like a silly, simple thing, right? I'm doing YouTube, but I've learned so many skills that I have improved my personal value. So like, in the course of learning how to do YouTube, I've learned how to edit videos, and I've learned a lot about editing videos, and I could potentially right now go on Fiverr and advertise to be a freelance video editor. I have the skills more than, say, 99% of the population. I understand how to do it. I'm not super great at it, don't get me wrong, but I definitely am better than a lot of people and could potentially do that for freelance work. So I've improved, by doing YouTube, I've improved my personal value so that in the future I could potentially earn money or earn more money than I currently can by having this particular skill. And that's just one example. I've also learned about, you know, equalization of sound and just audio treatment in general, and how to stream and all that kind of stuff is stuff you can teach other people or outsource. You know, people can outsource to you. So I think that just like the number one thing would be to improve your personal value. Like, that's what kids do when they go to college, right? That's the idea, is that you're trading immediate financial money for skills that over time should potentially increase your personal value so that you can earn more money as you go through your life. Really shouldn't eat these. Potato chips are not unhealthy, huh? So that's fine. We can eat a few cracklins as well. We are still getting calorie messages when we sleep. And we should be drinking our pine needle tea, which will boost our health to cancel out the effects of those cracklins. I don't think it's a one-to-one fix. I think cracklins are a negative health penalty that's higher than the benefit we get from pine needle tea, but it's something, you know, to help manage that. Okay, so now we have a fully enclosed vehicle. We have roofs on every tile. We can tell because when we close all the doors, it's dark in here, which means it's enclosed fully. And now we can start working on interior stuff. I think let's put a bed in there first and foremost. I like having a bed in my vehicle. What do we need for that? What do you need to make a bed in a vehicle? Put this in the back here. Bed requires a mattress. That's right. Do we have an extra mattress? No, we smashed this one for parts. Anyway, that was a long-winded ramble. I remember a quote a long time ago. I think we've talked about this before. Someone famous, I don't know who it was, said that the fastest path to wealth in the United States is through land ownership. So like, the number one thing this person recommended was that you invest in property. That's a very common theme in like most of the business books I read. Most people recommend that you do as much as you can to accumulate property. I don't know. I feel like that's an old way of thinking. I think like with the financial crash, like all these books I'm reading are from like 15 years ago. And they'll say things like, oh, just mortgage your properties and then, you know, have your rent payers pay off your property. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, yeah, that's what caused the financial crash in 2008, was people having mortgages that they weren't paying for. And then with, you know, the global pandemic stuff, it's like no one really is paying rent right now in the United States because of things being on hold. So all those people who have mortgages, they are screwed. Like, that's not going to go well at all. So I think that's a very old way of thinking, but I also do kind of think property is like a great recurring income. It's kind of like getting it's why all these websites make subscription fees, right? Like Adobe charges a subscription, World of Warcraft, all these places charge subscriptions because it's monthly reoccurring revenue. Oh man, I just realized I've been rambling about this. I bet my audience does not care about this at all, so sorry about that. I think we want to install cargo spaces, but we would have to craft them ourselves. Why don't we take apart some of this interior stuff that's in the way, like these trunks. So take those off. Yeah, I don't know who's mowing. It doesn't sound like my neighbor. It's not right outside my window like it usually would be. Hopefully that's not noticeable in the recording. We can leave the trunks, I guess. It was the doors I wanted to get off of there. Let's try... What did we need to make cargo spaces? It was a lot of something that I didn't have. Cargo. No, what are they called? Cargo carrier, yeah. What do we need here? Welding, fine. Cordage. Oh, like a ton of cordage. Yeah, so the best way to get cordage in Cataclysm is to take seat belts off of seats in vehicles. Now the problem is that you get one short rope from each seat belt. So in order to make one cargo space, we would need to harvest 20 seat belts, which is not, you know, impossible, but it is hugely time consuming to gather, like, because we're going to want like 8 of those or more in our trunk. So to make those, we would have to go and literally probably clear out almost every vehicle in this town. I mean, we can do 1 or 2 pretty quick and easy, you know. I guess we'll make 1 just to have like a nice big thing in our vehicle. It's again going to be time consuming. What you would really want to look for is military vehicles, because I believe the 5-point harness or whatever it's called that you know, it's not a seatbelt, it's a harness that you put in. I mean, we can look at it here. Let's take off the seatbelt and then install. Isn't there a harness? Yeah, so the 5-point harness requires a long rope, which I believe is 6 short ropes. Is 5 short ropes. Yeah, so that, I mean, that makes sense. It's a 5-point harness. So you would be looking for military vehicles because they'll give you 5 times as much per seat, because I believe they all have harnesses in them. So that's something you can do to speed up this process, but I don't think we've seen any military vehicles. If we do, I don't think I marked them. What we could do, let's pick these up. What we could do is head down to that barricade and see if there was any military vehicle parked there. I seem to remember there was something. So let's head down here. There is no... Oh, there's a vehicle. What are you? Oh, you're fully enclosed? How do you get in this thing? What is this? Heavy duty camera. Oh, there's a door here. Okay, well, there you go. So are these all harnesses? That would be fantastic. Oh, they're seat belts. The driver's seat does have a 5-point harness, but it's fully destroyed. So unfortunately, that means it'll just give us string if we take this apart. Or thread, I think. 2 long strings. Yeah, not quite enough. But this does have quite a lot of seats to it, so we can get a lot of seat belts here pretty easily. So we'll grab all these seat belts. Oh, not all of them have seat belts. Well, that's depressing, because I was excited that we found such a big... Why does every other seat have a seat belt, but the ones in front of... Why would it be every other seat? Whatever. Also, we could take these big tanks. These are external tanks. They're enormous. I don't like putting external tanks on our vehicles because I tend to clip a lot of buildings when I'm driving around, and I just don't like the idea of knocking off a huge tank of fuel or whatever. It just seems like a one, horrible for the environment, but mostly just terrible for, you know, losing valuable material. So I don't think we'll do that. These there's no seats back here. No, it's just boards and stuff. Interesting. So there's only 3 seats in a fire engine? Or no, what is this? It is a fire engine with huge tanks. There's only 3 seats in this bugger. You would have thought a lot more. That's fine. Okay. And the ironic thing is we've done all this. We still don't have enough for even 1 cargo space. So we just keep wandering around. Anyway, I shouldn't talk about money. People hate talking about money. I feel like... So I struggle a lot with self-confidence, but I also feel like I'm super smart. Like, I'm a big dopey guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm goofy and can sound like an idiot a lot. I got kind of a southern twang to my voice and stuff like that. But, like, I'm a pretty intelligent dude who, what I'm learning more and more as I've gotten older, I'm dumber than I used to be, but I'm so much wiser than I used to be, and I learn things so easily. There's very few things I can't learn. You know, not to get all like tooting my horn and all that stuff, but like there are very few things that I try to do that I completely fail at. Like coding was one. Coding, my brain just does not work for coding. I don't know why. I just can't do it. Technical things can be very difficult for me, but most of the stuff I try to do, I do great, you know, and I'm learning more and more that I can learn tons of stuff that's like super complicated and that other people struggle with. So my thinking is like, I'm poor. I've been poor my whole life, but I feel like if I just try, you know, I feel like I'm gonna succeed because I'm smart. I can, you know, evaluate risks and think about the things that I'm doing. I just feel like if I get a shot, you know, I can succeed. If that makes sense. I've always tried to have that little tiny piece of hope. Like even when my life was super dark and things were super terrible, I always hoped that they could be better. And I'm finally at a point in my life where I feel like I'm moving in that direction. I feel like my life doesn't have to be terrible. I feel like if I apply myself and I try hard enough, I can make something happen. And it's simultaneously super exciting and super scary. Like I on a nightly basis now, every night. So I listen to audiobooks and podcasts about business. And every night I go to work and I listen to these podcasts and stuff. And they talk about starting businesses. They talk about, you know, taking the plunge and all this stuff. And every night I grapple with the decision. I'm like, you should just start the business. You should start working on this now instead of putting it off for another day. So I feel like I'm very close to actually taking that plunge because I'm thinking about it all the time. And I'm scared. I'm scared. It's a very scary thing because it's something I've never done before. But I look around me and I see these stupid people, you know, that manage, you know, how many people. So I'm not disparaging anyone who's like like a mason, for instance, but like my friend's dad was a mason growing up and he made tons of money, and that guy was one of the dumbest people I've ever met in my life. And I'm not saying all masons are like that. I'm just saying this particular guy was a huge idiot, but he ran his own business and he made enough money to support a wife and 3 children, and that is like a significant amount of money. And I just think if that guy could do it, why can't I do it? Why am I so afraid to do it when I can see clear evidence of people around me who, you know, they don't do things the right way. They don't think about the decisions they make. They just do whatever they want, but they can do it, so why can't I do it? Anyway. You know what? Let's just craft out here. We do have this workbench out here. I brought the ropes inside thinking I would use this to craft, but we needed frames, so I went and harvested some, but we have plenty. I should have just used this table here. Let's make a cargo carrier. We have enough for 1, and that's at least something. That's a start, right? Everything's about incremental progress, internet. Everything in life, you get slightly better, slightly improve your situation as much as you can every day, you know, and that's what we're doing right now. Now this cargo carrier is one step towards having a nice friggin' awesome vehicle. Let's also do, I still have an MRE in my inventory. I don't. Let's grab another MRE because we know they're calorie dense. And barbecue beef sounds pretty tasty. I for dinner had my family made hamburgers, and I did not realize until too late that they have cheese in them, which I think is really gross. If you're listening to this and you like eating burgers that have cheese in them, that's fine. I'm not a fan, you know, particularly because I put honey mustard on my burgers and then started eating and was like, you know what really doesn't go well together? Cheese and honey. It's just not really my, or maybe they do. I don't know. I'm not fancy. Maybe people do eat cheese with honey, but like not that sharp cheddar, whatever they have in those burgers. So that was pretty terrible. Anyway, I think we should call the episode. Thank you for listening to me ramble about business. I know I shouldn't talk about these things. It's just on my mind all the time. It's such a central focus in my life. It's something it's like, it's one of my goals, and I don't have very many goals in life. So whenever I do have a goal, like back when I was writing a novel, we talk about those things a lot because it's important to me. So yeah, I don't know. Everybody, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I, of course, will be back with more Cataclysm content in the near future. Keep your eyes on the channel for that upcoming interview. Hopefully that all pans out and goes well. I'm super excited. And yeah, I'll be back with more in the near future. See you in the next video.